for you to then go to Snoqualmie Falls, right, and being part of a David Lynch television program, had to be like, what, you were the home team?
Yeah, I was the home team. I was the home team with the advantage. I swear to God, it was. I got to go back home. So we shot in '89. I started my career in '83 with Dune, and we did Blue Velvet together, David and I, and then Twin Peaks was in '89.
Yes.
So it was pretty early on. And I was able to go home back to where I grew up. I knew those roads. I used to drive between Yakima and Seattle in my dad's Mustang to go to school. And I knew North Bend so well and knew Snoqualmie and all those areas. And it was like, I was like, this is a gift. I said, I get to work kind of where I grew up, in one of the most beautiful parts of the country, I think, the Northwest.
And where you grew up, was there something evil happening in the town beneath the surface?
Well, Yakima. You know, you could make the argument. There's some stories. There's another program.
My gosh, for sure. So that's pretty cool that you got to, I had no idea you were a Washington native. In that show, all about this beautiful town.
Isn't that amazing?
Well,
David, David grew up in, he was born, I think, in Missoula, in Montana, spent some time in Boise and Spokane, so he's from the Northwest as well.
Right.
And when he and I met, David Lynch and I met, we just started, we didn't even talk about Dune, the movie. We talked about what it was like to grow up and the things that we did. We talked about red wine as well.
Right.
And at the end of the conversation that I had with him, he said, here's the script to Dune. I want you to learn these 5 scenes and come back and screen test. It was my first time to Los Angeles. I didn't know what a screen test was. I'd never been in front of a camera. But I took the script and I said, of course. I said, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Not. And I went back home, learned the scenes, and came back and screen tested, and here we are.
Well, this leads me perfectly into Celebrity True or False, Kyle MacLachlan, which we play here every now and then.
I'm ready.
And so basically we've noticed things about your career online, wondering if it is true or false. And here is our great production value to kick it all off.
Let's see. See what you got. Oh, yeah.
Celebrity True or False.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh.
That's it. Okay. All right.
That's Jack Nicholson.
That is indeed.
Yeah. Okay,
you picked up on that. Fantastic.
I'm getting
Celebrity True or False, Kyle MacLachlan. Here we go. You kind of just alluded to it when you were talking about walking straight forward with your dad. True or false, you wanted to be a professional golfer growing up.
Ooh. True
or false?
I need a sip of coffee before I answer.
Okay, very good.
In fact, for maybe 3 months.
It was true for
a very short period of time.
A year in your life growing up. Okay.
I remember one summer I was really committed and dedicated, and I went out to the range every morning with my dad, who was a stockbroker. So I'd get up with him at like 5:30. I get on the range at 6, and I would work and play. It became very evident early on.
Nice finish there, Kyle.
It's okay. It's a little high. Okay. That's at Dunhill, I think.
Okay.
At the Dunhill. Anyway, I just didn't have the mental game, nor the physical, not the swing, really. I mean, I grew up, I didn't really have lessons growing up, so it's sort of self-taught.
Sure.
And it was never going to happen. Plus, I went to Eisenhower High School. They recruited guys in my junior year, and they won state, junior, and senior. I was not on the team that won state. I found myself at the top of the JV. Yeah. It was one of those. So I said, nah, professional golf, not going to happen.
Missed the cut. Found a different thing going on.
Thank God.
So what's your game like now? Where are we?
Minimal game. I have sort of lower back issues.
Okay. But so then at the peak of your game, where were we?
I was a 6.
Okay.
Legitimate, but not
okay.
Not what you need.
What are you now, Chris?
7.8.
I give 7.
Okay, there you go.
See, now that's a little much. Just why don't you say 7 or 8?
When you
the decimal, like that's you're highfalutin.
Index matters.
It's a different generation, is what we're talking here.
Index matters. Yeah, I need to write that down.
We didn't have index when I started.
I know.
You had a handicap, and that was it.
By the way, that sounds like a title of a Sex and the City episode. Index matters. We'll see when we get to that shortly. All right, next up here.
Okay, bring it on.
That's right. True or false? You just alluded to again Dune in 1984. The role that you got, you beat out Val Kilmer for it. Is that true or false?
Yeah.
Do you know this?
Yeah, Val was, he was at the top of their choice had a bit of time, but they felt like they should just maybe go out one more time and try and find somebody, because they liked Val very much, but David wasn't sure. At least that's the story he told me.
Right.
And they went out again and did like a kind of a multi-city tour in the country, and I'm who they found.
Right. So how did you meet David Lynch?
I met the casting agent, a junior casting agent, actually in Seattle, and I auditioned for her at the Four Seasons Olympic Hotel in one of the hotel rooms, as you do, on tape. And she took the tape and showed it to David and Rafaela De Laurentiis, who was the line producer, Dino's daughter, line producer. And they said, let's meet him. just based on that, what I did. And I went down to, they flew me down to L.A., and I met David, and I met Rafi, and I met Dino that same trip. And then I flew back home because I was doing a play in Seattle during that time. And then I came back down again 5 days later and screen tested, and they needed one more screen test, something to do with my hair. As you can see, my hair, it's problematic.
It's resplendent. Don't say problematic.
It's not, no,
look at me when talking about problematic. Come on, God bless you.
It's this calico. I call this calico. I'm going out. I'm losing the brown and going back to the white.
Hey, it looks great.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I don't say that to all guests.
Thank you very much.
But so, have you gotten a thank you note from Timothée Chalamet at all? Have you? I mean,
I've met Tim. Yeah, we did a photo shoot together with Denis Villeneuve. We did a little photo thing together, and I'd never met Tim. He's such a nice guy. I enjoyed the new movie. I loved.
Without
the
you, there's none of this. Don't forget the books, Kyle. Come on now. You know what I mean?
Without me, it does not exist. He did a great job. I loved watching the film. I love the book. I grew up reading the book since I was about 15.
Yeah.
So I really knew the story. When I went into audition, I had questions about the script because I knew the book so well. I was like, this is not exactly right. I never read a movie.
You were being a stickler of the details.
Yes, I was.
Huh?
I was checking. I said, this isn't really, what's in the book. You know what I mean? I said, I didn't know.
Right. Sure. And David Lynch is just read the script.
Yes. He's looking at me, shaking his head, like, don't.
Well,
don't push it, kid.
Man, what a relationship you wound up having with him. Next one, true or false? When you sent Blue Velvet, the script, to your mom to read it, she went radio silent on you.
She did. That was my second script I'd ever read. My second. Dune was the first, and Blue Velvet was my second. You couldn't get two more different scripts.
Yes.
And the script that David wrote, very graphic, as you can imagine, in its descriptions.
Yes, sir.
And my mom was, the full story, she had ovarian cancer, so she was battling through chemotherapy and going through all of that, and she was very protective of her kids. She didn't want us to worry and everything like that. So I said, hey, this is a new script. I think it's really interesting. There's a lot to it. She read it. Of course, she was like, but she didn't say anything because she didn't want to upset me. So I said, I haven't heard from my mom. I spoke to her husband. I said, I haven't heard from my mom. He said, well, she didn't really want to say anything, but it's really not really, just not really her thing. She's kind of worried. And I said, I get it. And I said, and I felt, you know what? I don't want to do anything that's going to, imperil her in any way. You know what I mean? Or make it difficult for her. I said, I won't do it. I don't want her to worry.
You said no.
I said no.
Okay.
And David understood. And he said, okay. And a few months go by, and I'm like, I can't get the script out of my head. And I'm like, so finally I say, Mom, I know, David, I know that what you read is going to be alluded to, but it's not you're not going to see a lot of this, and I think it's going to be okay. So I kind of tried to talk her, and she said, okay. She agreed, and I went to work.
And you went to work?
Yeah.
And so what was it, Dennis Hopper taking an inhale of oxygen, telling nobody to look at him?
Yeah, more the treatment of, the women, treatment of Isabella. My mom was that affected her deeply.
What was it like working with Hopper?
Oh, such a joy.
You got a good Dennis Hopper story?
Oh, God. Well, we're a lot of night shoots on this, right?
Makes sense.
So in the sequence where I'm in the back of the car, so there's Dennis and Isabella, Brad Dourif is in there, Jack Nance, and another gentleman, a local hire, I can't remember his name. And we were up all night. I had ordered early in the filming a cappuccino, like a espresso frother, cappuccino grinder machine coffee. Very important to me, as you know. By the way, this coffee in the Rich Eisen Show mug,
oh yes, please,
damn good, and hot. There you go. I heard you talking earlier.
Oh, okay.
I overheard.
Yes. Well, we haven't gotten to the Twin Peaks part of this yet. I might ask you to do that again, but go ahead.
I'll do it again. Anyway, so I was in charge of making coffees for everybody. So people would come to my trailer, hang out. They were playing cards at my little table, and I was basically the barista for the other members of the cast. So Dennis and Jack and Brad Dourif, guys would all come to David would come sometimes, and we would sit in my trailer at night and just drink coffee. And I would look around occasionally and go, who doesn't belong here? Dean Stockwell was there as well.
Oh, right, that's right.
I was so happy.
I bet you were. Next one, true or false, you openly admit that fans understand Twin Peaks more than you do.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I
don't blame you, by the way.
understand a little bit, you know what I mean? But there are people that really go deep in this, you know what I mean? And I don't have the time. But I love that there are so many theories and ideas, because I think it's that kind of show. It's a mystery, you know, and they were intent on not telling you everything. You didn't have to know everything. And I think that's kind of where the show got in trouble when they finally solved the mystery. It was like, oh, and all the air went out of the bag, you know, and there wasn't a second compelling story to sort of follow up the Who Killed Laura Palmer. And if we'd only been able to sustain that, I don't know if we'd been able to go more than 2 or 3 years anyway. But I think that kind of need to know would have driven the audience, and we would have kept the show like cutting edge.
Now, what goes through your mind when you might be on set or David Lynch is explaining, okay, so we're going to have a small person come out and dance and talk about the gum you like is going out of style.
Perfect. I'm good.
And then potentially just, reverse that talking track.
And go backwards.
What do you look at him and go, what is happening with you, David?
Well, inside I do, but I don't say anything. Of course,
good idea.
No, I get when as an actor, you're like, anytime you start to pushing the envelope.
Yes.
Maybe that's not true for everyone, but I get very excited. So even like that little brief scene with Ethan that we did.
Yes.
Just the conversation or the talking over each other is like a little unusual to allow that to happen. And there are very few directors that are comfortable with that. David is very comfortable with that. Sterling Harjo, who directed Lowdown, very comfortable with that.
Yes.
So anytime there's a new idea or something that's sort of, you're going to buck the system, I am all in. So when David says we're going to do this whole thing backwards, you're going to speak in reverse, which thank God I didn't have to do, I said, this is going to be amazing. People are going to go, what did I just see?
Yes.
And that's what happened.
Can confirm.
Can
I was doing
confirm.
that. Yes.
You were like,
when my friends were just like, wait a minute, what the hell are we watching? This is on ABC television.
Yeah.
On network TV.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, yeah. That was the response. A lot of people say that. They're like, suddenly they're watching a show and then they're like, we just left our reality and we're in some other reality now. And that's exactly what the point was.
Last one for you. True
Yes,
or
sir.
false, you initially did not want to do Sex in the City, but your wife convinced you to take the role. Is that true?
Well, I was ambivalent. I was on the fence about it. I didn't really know the show. So I spoke to my wife about this. There was some interest in me from the show on HBO.
Yeah.
I think I even called it Sex in the City. Or Sex on the City or something. I didn't even have it
You
right.
didn't get the preposition right?
I didn't have the preposition right.
Right.
Which happens. And she was like, "What? It's called? I don't know. It's called Sex and the City." And she said, "Wait a minute. Is it Sex and the City?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the one." She said, "You're doing it." And I was like, "What?" Because she had her finger on the pulse. She knew what was happening.
But
and
she
this was
also knows the subject matter of the show, and she's like, you're telling her husband, go ahead and do it?
No, she was fine with all that. You don't care.
Okay, good to know.
So, and I was ambivalent about it just because of the way the character was described to me and laid out. And I was like, okay, here I am playing another strange dude, and I'm like trying to move away from that, but that's not going to happen. So I embraced it ultimately.
Do you have a favorite episode you were in?
Well, the wedding one. You just had one of when we married, and I get married in a kilt.
Yes.
Because the writers will do that. The writers on the show, they'll take a lot of stuff, from your life, the MacLachlan, the Scottish thing,
right?
And they're like, oh, let's use some of this to influence where we go with the story.
Yes.
But the wedding thing was really fun. That was a good episode.
Any suggestions you made to your character that they threw in there?
There were a couple things they wanted me to do that I said, not going to happen.
And you worked for David Lynch. What?
And yet I was okay with the Jugs magazine. I was like, I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, that works for me.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.